Hello, everybody. Welcome to Healing Place Energy School. How are you doing today? I was going back and forth trying to decide if I should do a Ask a Reflexologist night. And I said, you know what? People are coming to expect this, so I'm going to just drop in just to let you know what's going on in my life. And then I would like very much to show you a hand reflexology tip to ease tension in your back, in your head. Uh, Especially now that the pandemic is somewhat in control. I'm just very pleased to announce that in state of Massachusetts, they're starting to let businesses open again. And I'm looking forward to going back to work. And my date will be June 8th. So in the meantime, I'm more than glad to come on and talk with you. I like to continue every single Monday. So if you have a question, just give me a hello. Just let me know you're here. And feel free to ask me questions because I'm here. I love talking to people. I love educating people. And it's all about awakening your inner healer to help you to tap into your ability to self-heal. So one of the cool things about doing energy work is basically sharing information and really learn about yourself. Let me give you an update. What I am doing in this time of pandemic is I'm developing online classes for the Healing Place Energy School. And before getting on tonight, I was developing a lesson in my course called First Step to Your Spiritual Journey. And what that means is when you start to get the stirring within you and you're no longer satisfied with what is going on in life, even though you might have everything, you might have a family, work that you really enjoy, you have friends, but there is something that is calling out to you that says, hey, it's time to do your life purpose work. And all of a sudden, you have this, what I call restlessness. And this was what happened to me, I would say in my late 20s, when I knew I had a purpose on the planet, but I did not know what to do with it. And I remember there wasn't anyone to ask because I'm the only one in my family have this intuitive capabilities. Out of 7 people in my family, I'm the only one that had intuition. And so it was really difficult to talk to my parents about this because they had no idea what I was talking about. And I was thinking to myself, in my 20s, I knew I had a calling and I did not know what it was. And who came into my life eventually, decades later, 20 years later, was my son, who showed me that my purpose was to do healing work. My son growing up had a lot of health issues, and the go-to at the time was medication. And no little child at the age of 8 should be put on what I consider adult strength medication to address certain health issues. And back then I used to spend a lot of time praying, plus doing research. I'm one of those people back 25 years ago, we didn't have a computer. And I used to go from library to library to research how I could help him. He's a boy that has thyroid issue compounded by, I call ice pick migraine headaches. And no child at the age of 8 should suffer from migraines. And I learned on this journey what caused a lot of his migraines were food allergies. Yeah, food allergies. At the time we were very big into dairy. And we also love breads, anything wheat, because it's that Asian thing. We like anything that's carbohydrates and milk. They were just addicted to milk. And I found out the sugar in milk was actually what was causing his migraine headaches. So if anybody out there have migraine headaches, check out either sometimes it's food intolerance. You could do what I call a food intolerance test, a blood one, not the patch, because the patch only tests for soy, corn, wheat, I think egg, and dairy. And especially today, what is happening because our food is so modified, the GMO foods. So the foods that I ate as a kid back in the 60s, in more ways than not, doesn't exist today because farmers are not required to put nutrients into the soil like they did 60 years ago. So as the food have evolved over the last, I would say, especially from the 90s, um, bladder problems, back in the 90s, once you start to eat these genetically modified foods, all of a sudden your body doesn't recognize what's going into the mouth and it doesn't really know what to do with it. So what happens is this causes body inflammation. So this is something that I've started to research in my next book, Holistic Digestive Health, because if you have a good gut, good foundation, this is going to help to overcome inflammation. So one of the things I was listening to yesterday, the doctor was talking about, we were talking about the body and how to balance the energy through foods. And a lot of times what he was saying that depending on how inflamed your body is, this is where you're going to go deeper into illness. So you're talking about the flu, the coronavirus. So if you have less body inflammation, there's more of a chance your body is going to overcome the virus quicker. But if you're constantly in pain and you have a lot of food intolerance, body aches, then once you contract something, this is going to stay with you longer. And that really resonated with me. So these are the geeky part of what I do, because I really like to research, not only to do alternative healing, but the more I research, I could share with you, share with my clients. So this is what makes it really helpful. So coming back to my online class, one of the things that I'm developing right now is called First Step to Your Spiritual Journey, which I started to talk about. And I'm just thinking, as we progress energetically, what the skin that we live in today starts to become old and tiring because it no longer works, especially if you don't feel a satisfaction in your life. So the more you disconnect from your body, this is what happens a lot of times. This becomes the seed of illnesses. And learning how to become consciously aware of what's going on in your environment and what you put into your body and how you manage your life work experiences is going to be key to keeping you healthy. And one of the most important things that I've learned in the last 8 weeks since I've been home is, as I've been doing what I call a catch up. So I've been really developing the courses for my class. I've learned not to get so crazed in the what I call a vicious cycle of producing, and learning to be okay with the quiet. And it's really key to be able to sit quietly with myself, with my family. I wish I could say that I've cleaned my closets and done all kinds of things and get reunited with my house. The answer is no, I have not. What I have done is definitely talk to more people and develop classes and talk to interesting people like you. Like Ivy Lee is asking, can you solve bladder problems? Well, yeah, there's all kinds of things that we can solve. And I'm going to probably answer some questions now. This way it will give me a break too. So bladder problem. Your bladder problem is it. If you are on, let me grab my reflexology map. Okay. Excuse my mess here, but you know what? It's pretty much because here, where's my reflexology feet? Okay. I'm trying to remember what the bladder is associated with. Besides, that's part of your second chakras. I'm very big into the chakra work because once you understand where in your body there is a disconnect, you're going to understand which of your main 7 chakras is effective and what's going on in your life. So let's do this. Let's do a quick, first of all, your bladder is You would think in 9 weeks I would still remember these things, but I have kind of like forgotten. Can you believe this? I've only done 13,000 sessions and I've forgotten where the points are. So the bladder section is right about here. It's on the inside of your foot. It's right in this area, even though it says it's on located in the lumbar section of your spine. So here, if you're pressing, let's say if you feel there's something going on in your bladder, you're going to the bathroom way too much, or you're not going to the bathroom enough, but you got to be careful too, because most of us don't drink enough water. Even I don't drink enough water because once I start pounding on the computer, I forget what to do. So to work the reflex point for the bladder, and I'm going to come back to the back, you want to walk like this, and you want to walk across. You'll feel like a soft, bumpy spot right about here, and you're going to walk this area to help you to empty out the bladder. Remember, your bladder, your urine's made in your kidneys right about here. There's a tube that goes right about here, and then it swings out into the bladder. So urethra. They always get urethra and urethra confused. So your urethra is that tube that goes all the way down into the bladder. So heaven forbid, this is where kidney stones can happen, especially if you don't drink enough water, and if your parathyroid here, right about here, is making too much calcium and you don't drink and flush, the calcium deposit can become stuck in the gallbladder, and also gallbladder and the kidney. So those are the two major places kidney stones can get caught up because the calcium is not flushing. So you want to push down here and you could get these reflexology feet off of my channel, out of my store. I should put the link right there and say you could go and buy it. So you just end up pushing like this, and this is key into the bladder. All right. So you could do it there. And if you want to do it on your hands, your bladder is right about here. So you just have to learn to focus on this area. And you have to do it on both feet because the bladder is in the middle of your body. So it got to be done from both sides of the feet and the hands. Sounds good? I'm hoping. Give me a thumbs up, Irie, if I answer your question. All right. All right, here we go. My calves go into Charlie horse muscle spasm during the night. I take salt and magnesium. What do you think? A lot of times, that's what it's caused. Magnesium, potassium are the two things that I am familiar with Charlie horses. Some people, it helps to eat bananas. There are supplements that's just geared for Charlie horses. So you could go to a store, you could go online to see magnesium and potassium. Some people swears by tonic water, where you mix gin and tonic. Get that? Gin and tonic. Except you skip the gin, you just only focus on the tonic. So that's one of those things. I wish there was something else about muscle spasm. It's something in the back of my head. I wasn't prepared to think about that. If it jumps out in my head, I'll mention that. So that should hopefully will help you. Sometimes it's just basically what it is too. Another thing you could do is the adrenals. Your adrenals regulate your electrolytes and your salt, which is above the kidney. So if you're on your feet here, right about here where I showed you before the kidneys, your adrenals is right above it. So you have two on both feet. Where's my other foot? So a lot of times when I'm working on people's feet, I can't wait to get back and working on people's feet. No, I don't have a foot fetish, but I do like work. It's kind of like a detective work when I'm working on feet. You want to focus on the adrenals, which is right about above the kidneys. And you just have, until you develop a touch, since I've done 13,000 of these healing sessions, I know immediately when something is off. So I'm pushing again to, especially if your body, if you're constantly in overdrive, because not only does your adrenal regulates electrolytes and salt, but it's also the fight or flight. So if you're really an anxious person, you're going to make your adrenals go into overtime. And so depending on what your lifestyle is, a lot of times that becomes an issue. I'm sorry. I just hope that you're balanced in your life. Does that sound right, G. DeRochius? Does that sound right? It sounds like there's a lot of stress going on in your life. All right. Okay, Michael Huey, are there certain foods that you should have daily to reduce inflammation? Well, I'm not certain if Huey is the Asian name. So, Michael, if you're Asian, the first thing we love is rice. We eat way too much white grains. If you do alcohol, what else? Meat, eggs. What else that is really not good? Those are the things that we got to be careful of. Alcohol, so it's alcohol, meats, sugar, carbohydrates, eggs. So those are the 5 major things. So anything that's really heavy protein will also cause inflammation. One of the things I had to learn to do was cut down on eating rice. I'm going to say this, it really sucks. I'm Asian, I'm Chinese, and you know how hard it is to cut down on rice? Oh man, I'll tell you. When the dietitian said, well, Helen, you got to be careful. Your sugar number is getting high, and you're going to have to cut back on the rice. Oh, man, do I not like hearing that. So I'm trying to eat more legumes, beans. I'll have to tell you, this 8-9 weeks at home, someone asked me about the Corvette. Instead of the Corvette 19, it's called the Corvette 15, and all of a sudden I'm gaining weight. So I try to really be careful and eat the same way as I did when I was working at my office. All right. So does that sound okay, Michael? Does that sound right? All right, here we go. Let me take a sip. I'm getting old and my throat is really dry. Okay, I'm having pain on the bottom of my right foot towards the upper middle to the right. What do you think it could be? Well, do you have plantar fasciitis? Mm-hmm. This is something that's key. If it's toward the upper middle, there's a ligament that runs in the middle of the foot. And more times than not, becomes a plantar fasciitis. What is plantar fasciitis? Plantar means bottom of the feet, bottom. And the fascia, what does the fascia look like? If you ever buy a raw chicken and I'm sorry to say this, it sounds nasty. You strip back the chicken skin and you see that white film, that is the fascia. The fascia's role is to hold your organs and everything together like a girdle. So what happens if you wear, I'm going to say it, crappy shoes, cheap shoes, shoes that don't have enough support, the fascia, what happens to the bridge here, your foot's like a bridge. You have 4 major tendons, I would say ligaments, that hold your feet up this way. I think it's tendons or ligament. You would think it's tendons. There's 4 of them that holds it up like a bridge, and you have 2 going across this way. What happens is when you don't have enough support at the bottom of your feet starts to spread because your arch is falling, and that gets really ugly. So when you hear the expression, when people says, oh, I was pregnant and I noticed I went up 2 shoe sizes, my feet got bigger. Well, your feet did not get bigger. What was happening, your arches is falling. And this is what gets really ugly. I have one client who her arch actually broke in half. So she was totally flat-footed. And she had to take a ligament out of his other foot to put in here. And what happened was she could not walk for 1 year. She was in a cast for 1 whole year. And how can you prevent this? You never walk bare feet. Never. Not even in the house. I don't even walk in my house bare feet. Don't walk on the beach bare feet, because once you don't have enough arch support, and as we get older, the arch just keeps falling. Okay, does that answer your question? All right, tag team, was that good? Does that make sense? And don't wear flip-flops. That's the worst thing you could do. You got to get away from cheap shoes. Sorry. I'm one of those, what I call kick-ass reflexologists. I just tell it to you straight. Okay, what can I do when I have a hernia and GERD is acting up? Okay, GERD. GERD is more time your stomach is not producing enough hydrochloric acid. So what does that mean? If you eat a really acidy diet, as I mentioned to Michael, if you eat too much meat, alcohol, sugar, carbohydrates, eggs, what else? Anything that feeds the yeast in your body, yeast, because we all have yeast in our body all the time. And the more of that stuff that you eat, especially if you have cravings for something sweet or something like bread, you're really feeding the yeast and the toxins in your body. This I've learned from working on reflexology. So what helps with that? Learning how to eat an alkaline diet, which means more vegetables, more grains, more whole foods, not the white food stuff, but stuff that's intact food that look like came from the earth. Another thing that helps my clients is apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar will go down acidy, but it will hit your stomach alkaline. And then once it becomes alkaline, it helps your stomach to produce more hydrochloric acid. See, one of the things I talk about in my book is people don't know how their digestion works. I wish I had a graph. I didn't expect to talk about all of this stuff tonight. From the time you put food in your mouth and you chew, first of all, most of us, we're eating on a run because we don't have time. We have time now because we're home for the last 8 weeks. Digestion begins with your saliva. Your saliva starts to break down food in your mouth. Ideally, eat slowly and try to chew as much as you can, because once you chew, because from the time it goes into your mouth to come out of your anus, is that a lovely word, anus? I was going to call something else. Your food got to travel between 25 to 35 feet. Can you imagine 35 feet from here to all the way down south there? And once your foods, you start to digest, it goes down into your stomach, towards your stomach. And the more thorough you can digest, your stomach doesn't have to work as hard because it's coming down as pre-digested form. So your stomach can actually process food that gets down there. From there, it starts to empty out on the right side of your body into your small intestine. In your small intestines, this is where all the action, food absorption, nutrient absorption, everything happens in your intestines. What happens when your body is in inflammation, once you're eating food, once it hits your small intestine, the little hairs in your small intestines pushes the food through your stomach and small intestine. And if it's in an acidy inflamed state, instead of doing this, all of a sudden your hairs are doing this. It's not really working. It's really going slow. And then what happens, it will start to curl in because the tips is what delivers the food to the rest of your body. And if you're in, let's say, what do you call that, where your body is entirely inflammation and celiac disease, all of a sudden your hairs in your stomach are doing this. Or worse, it's going like this. It flattens out. You get absolutely no absorption. And then all of a sudden, you're no longer feeding your body. And people says, well, if I chew quickly, my stomach is going to do the rest of the work and push and digest the rest of the food. No, it doesn't. It does not. It really doesn't. What happens was you're going to push on big chunks of food through your intestines. And how do you know if your stomach is not working? Heaven forbid you burp and all of a sudden you're tasting food. And that's 2 hours after you've had a meal. What that tells you is your food is still sitting in your stomach. Yes. So because I have 75% of the people who come to the healing place for hands-on reflexology, foot reflexology, have digestive issues. So I made it a point to learn how to help these people. So what I found that's very helpful to a lot of people is the apple cider vinegar that will increase um, your hydrochloric acid. How much? 1 tablespoon in anywhere from 8 to 12 ounces of room temperature water. Please do not drink ice water. Why? Because you never want to lower your body temperature. If you lower your body temperature, your body's going to have to work that much harder to digest food. So if it's already in the negative column, it's going to have to work to flatten out again. So give your body a break. All right. Give it a break. This is really key. Um, and then what else to do? Probiotics. Really feed your body probiotics, because we do not get probiotics in the food that we eat today because of, unfortunately, the GMO. So what is helpful to people who come to see me, I always suggest, well, I because I'm not a medical doctor, I can't say, hey, this is what you need to take. But 50 billion, Billion, billion IUs. That IU stands for international units. That is a therapeutic level. What kind to take? I would strongly suggest, if you go to a store that sells probiotics, ask them what's the best, what you can afford. So I always tell people every 3 to 4 bottles, depending on what ails you, switch out your probiotics, because you want to introduce new strains of bacteria in your stomach. So coming back to the hydrochloric acid, 1 tablespoon, 8 to 12 ounces of water, and do this maybe if your stomach really bad, you do it twice a day. And once your stomach starts to feel better, you do it once a day, and then you could do it every other day, then 3 times. I still do it. I do mine maintenance. So I probably do it once a month. And especially now that I've been home for 8 weeks, I've been eating way too much white food. I can't help it. I like bread and I like rice. I figure at my age, I should be able to eat anything I want, but it's not true. It's the opposite. All right, let me take another sip. Okay, acid foot really helps my gallbladder issue. I do not know if it will, apple cider vinegar will help your gallbladder issue, but I do know it will increase your hydrochloric acid. And one of the things, the gallbladder, which holds your bile. For those people who don't know what a gallbladder does, it holds your bile from your liver. And when you eat too much fats, the bile from the gallbladder releases. There's a tube that goes into your small intestines, and then the goal is to break down fats. So I am not a believer in removing any organs unless I have to. So here, I have all my original parts. I'm 66 years old, and I've had nothing removed, thankfully. And so this is really key about the gallbladder, because every single your gallbladder helps to break down foods. It's really digestive enzymes, break down fats. And one of the things I always tell people when they don't have a gallbladder, I think from my research, it's really important to take digestive enzymes, because all of that bile that was stored in the gallbladder is now constantly dripping into the small intestines. And that makes me very, very nervous too. So I have another minute, and then I'll probably come back next week. I was going to teach you some back reflexology, but I think it's really good that I am answering questions. Okay, what do you know of any natural products to get rid of parasites in your mouth, brain, I guess basically your whole body? So the thing is, which I've gotten really lazy with, is doing liver detox. Think about all the crap we put into our bodies, not only the foods, we're front of electronics. So we're getting electronic pollution, air pollution, water pollution. And then on top of that, stress and anxiety, because you're trying to manage your life, trying to manage your body, trying to manage everything. Your body is in constantly overdrive. In fact, this is one of the things I talk about in my book, Know Your Chakras. Know Your Chakras. I'm very proud of this book. This book came from 13,000 observations of years of my working with people. And I talk about how the body goes into unbalance. A lot of times it's not only the food, it's our lifestyle, how do we manage our stress? That's basically what it is. How do we manage our life that we stay neutral, balanced? And that's something I talk about in the course that I'm developing, First Step to Your Spiritual Journey. Where do you put yourself in your life? I know there's people who have to provide. And yes, but where do you fit into your life? It's good to provide, but where do you fit in? How do you make time for yourself? And that's really key. Like after this broadcast, I am going to get on my treadmill. I'm going to take care of me for a while because I've been developing classes and been on the phone all day. And I'm talking to you, which I really enjoy doing, to share this knowledge, because everybody can do this work. No one is exempt from this work. And people say, well, Helen, you're the expert. Well, I'm only the expert because I decided to fall down a few times and continuously get up. And now I've taken this knowledge from now in myself, but from my son when he was sick. Now I'm applying it and sharing it with everybody to say, hey, don't give away your powers to somebody else. You have the capability inside of here. So learning how to trust what you have and utilize those gifts is key. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? So this is it right now. I think this is all I'm going to do. My mouth is really tired. I wish someone would take over for me. How can you buy my books? My book is on Amazon.com. I have this book. Can you see the one in the back there? I'm going to bring it up. I just wish I had a little bit more hours in a day, but I try to keep my work day to no more than 12 hours a day. And I still work every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. So if I'm not with hands-on healing, I'm writing and researching. That's all I do, because I really want to be of service to people who come see me, plus you people who are now asking me these questions. I want to sound somewhat intelligent. So there's my other book, Foot Reflexology to Promote Relaxation. So these courses I have on my online school, you could read a book or you could take my courses and you get to see me talk to you. And eventually what I would like to do is live classes, because there's so many questions people have about energy work and they really want to learn how to tap in and everything. And I really learned anything and everything is possible. How did I get like this? How I got like this is I didn't let people tell me anything that was different. I really follow my heart. I follow my inner guidance, and also God, spirit guides, whoever I talk to on the inside, mostly God. And I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to trust myself in my intuition. And this is what I do for everybody who comes to see me at the healing place at my office, because we all always have choices. All right, honey buns. I wish I could talk more, but my throat is about to go. If you like, I'll do another live chat next Monday and get your questions. Oh, and if I have time, I will show you the back to release tension in the back and the head. And I'll answer your questions, but this is a good time. And, feel free to email, type in your questions. I will come back. I'm very good for anybody who has emailed me questions or whatnot. I answer pretty quickly because I like to treat people the way I like to be treated, with respect and in a timely manner. besides that, I'm also a pain in the ass because I'm one of those people. I move really quick. So and that would be great. I'm very pleased that you joined me. Please share this video to anyone that you think it will help, because we all could be the very best we could be. And thank you so much for subscribing to the Reflexology Healing. It's given me a lot of pleasure and honor to be able to help others through this time, not only pandemic, but always. All right, honey buns, be well, and I will talk to you next Monday. Bye-bye.